Greetings and salutations, David Duford, where I red pill you on the truth about selling insurance. Thanks so much for watching. So in today's video, I want to start with a meme that seems to be circulating across the internet that I need to bring to your forefront and attention. So let me pull it up here on the screen. Yeah, I think all of us who are selling face-to-face are putting our heads down at night wondering if this is the end of selling final expense or really any kind of insurance face-to-face. So I feel like I am charged with the duty of being the most optimistic and trying to provide you as much information to keep you encouraged. Not only can you still sell face-to-face, now whether or not you want to do that or you think it's right, totally different conversation. I'm not going to have that conversation. But if you're wondering, is there an opportunity to still do this? The absolute truth is, yes, there is. And not only is there an opportunity, I would argue today and conceivably going forward, this is the best time, if there's ever been, since I would say even 9/11, to sell life insurance. So don't believe me. Believe some of these agents here. Let me show you on the screen what kind of production and results people are getting. So here's a text message I texted an agent this morning who is a very good producer. He's sold final expense for several years now, knows what he's doing. I asked him, I said, you still get in front of people. It's like Christmas has come early for my agents. This is me talking. I have so many writing, tons of premium, wondering if you're getting any kind of pushback. I'd figure not. This agent answers, yes, I just wrote $5,000 yesterday. Yesterday. Not in a week or a month, yesterday. Continuing on, he says, not too much different. I've come across some individuals who didn't want to speak, but not too many. And then my response to that was, good to hear. These world-class procrastinators need us now more than ever. I figured those telling you no would tell you no anyway. And his response is, exactly. It's even more of a reason to take out life insurance now. I agree with that. If they're telling me no now, they most likely would have told me no anyways. So this is what I've been kind of saying here the past week and a half as this thing has really gone into overdrive, is how do you take an objection like coronavirus? How do you treat it? Do you treat it any differently? And my recommendation is to treat it just like any other objection. There's this kind of psychology I want to explain real quickly before I show you some other case studies of people successfully selling. The first is that people generally have a perception of a thing on a group level, and on an individual level, they make decisions depending on the actual variables, okay? In other words, everybody hates to be sold, but they love to buy, right? So nobody likes the idea of salespeople, but I promise you there are people who say, I hate salespeople, but boy, Dave Duford was the best insurance agent I've ever met and ever worked with. So there's this dichotomy here of psychology at play, where on one hand you hear the idea that there might be more no's for one particular reason, but in reality, for the people that are actually getting out there, it's quite the opposite. Part of that is facilitated or massaged into a bigger amount because of all the media sensation behind what's going on. And that is going to perceive or change your perceptions as a final expense or insurance agent on, is it okay to sell face-to-face? Is it something that's still viable? And here's the truth. From what I've seen so far from multiple agents, they not only have written a lot of business, but even more so than average. And let me pull on the screen here an agent of mine where I asked him, I said, what kind of pushback you guys getting? And these, again, all these comments here are between March 17th, 18th, 19th, so within the last day to 2 days tops. So this agent, he's been working with me for about 3 months. He's relatively new to the business. His first week, he wrote $12,000 in premium off of our telemarketed leads, and he's averaging around $5,000 to $6,000 a week. He says, in response to my question about, are you seeing any kind of resistance? He says, hey, I'm answering your question from earlier. I had one of my 6 appointments today, again, all preset over the phone, so they could have said no to him then. Refused to meet, so I suggested meeting her at the end of his driveway, or I think her driveway, out in the open. He, who I sold, was willing to meet if we kept distance between us outside. 4 others met, and I sold 3 of them. I've had coronavirus objections, but so far they've been pretty easy to overcome. So this is my kind of theory at work here, my operating theory. People have one opinion of things from a grand perspective, but on an individual circumstance basis, people make different decisions that may seem out of sync with what they think. I can guarantee everyone who's bought from this particular agent and the rest of my agents this week have all thought, I don't want to be around anybody. I don't want to be in groups. I don't want to be getting a risk. But the other element of this that's at play, and this is the thing I forgot to mention, it was pretty important here. On one hand, yes, you have this concern of should I be around people? Should I put myself in a position of risk where I don't have to? But in our market, on the other hand, what you have are people who have been sitting on the fence for months, years even, saying that they need to buy life insurance, they need to buy burial insurance. They know they do, but there's always tomorrow, always the next day. World-class procrastinators predominate our business, especially with insurance. You always need it when you can't get it. And again, it's rare in the life insurance business, especially where some big problem occurs that gets people reminded of their actual mortality and gets them afraid. Again, this has been kind of difficult for me because this is a very serious situation, and I don't want to sound too enthusiastic, but this is an opportunity to help those people who know all along that they could and should have gotten coverage but never did and now are facing this risk. So the outcome that people, your prospects, are going to have are something along the lines of, okay, yeah, coronavirus, but maybe we can make this work. Step outside, sit on the porch, keep our distance because I know I really need to get this, okay? Do you guys see what I'm trying to say here? Like, this is what actually happens versus what you're told or what you're sold on what supposedly is going on. So let me pull up this other detail from another agent here just again to send the point home about really the great opportunity is right now to help people out with something they know they need help with. So this agent wrote $9,000 in premium 2 weeks consecutively, last week and then the week prior. I'm sure he's going to hit the same amount. Now, he's experienced. He's been doing this for a couple of years. And I don't know if I had mentioned this either, but he is in the epicenter of a lot of this outbreak concern in Washington State, in and around Seattle. Here's his comment. Going strong for me face to face. Go work while the sun is shining. Our state is probably going to be in a state of quarantine by Friday, so we'll work in the field while I can and then transition to telesales. So it's not that telesales is out of the equation. I'm not sitting here saying that you should not consider telesales. You should. You should be thinking, if you're a face-to-face agent right now, you need to be thinking, okay, if things worsen and they don't get better, what's my plan B? How can I continue to sell? How can I continue to be out there in the field? And you need to pick up carriers that will allow you to do telesales when the time is right for you. How do you know if that time's going to be right? It's going to be some sort of state-imposed quarantine with curfews, or it's going to be you're going to hear a ton of objections and you can't overcome them. That's probably the time to switch platforms to a telesales type of model. You also need to make sure you got the right carriers. Again, I've talked a lot about Prosperity Life, Liberty Bankers Life, Trinity Life for a temporary period of time. That might go on longer depending on how the situation looks. Great Western does phone apps as well, Royal Neighbors too. You need to have these carriers lined up, not necessarily to go out there and write if you're using other ones, but have them in your back pocket, okay? I know a lot of you are selling face-to-face, and I think that we'll still be able to sell face-to-face, but never be unprepared when you don't have to be. Carry these other carriers. Now, there's another thing I'll add here with telesales. I believe not just face-to-face, but telesales is also a great opportunity. So if you have to switch to face-to-face, I've had a lot of agents ask me, okay, I might have to do telesales. What do I need to do differently about telesales? Well, here's the thing I believe will happen. The fact that our market, will still have a higher demand for life insurance and burial insurance, and you calling them and opening up the call along the lines of saying something like, hey, boy, I'm glad you sent this in. I'm sure you're interested in final expense coverage. Want to see what your options are. I would set an appointment with you like most people want, but you know how it is with coronavirus. I don't want to go out there and, cause a problem. Everybody who's going to hear that is going to appreciate that. It's going to build rapport for you. And just do your normal sales call over the phone. Again, generally speaking, I tend to say, okay, telesales is different than face-to-face, but I think we'll have more open-mindedness to what it is that we're doing because of the circumstances around. So I think it's going to be actually easier and you don't have to necessarily do much differently to sell over the phone. You just have to have the right tools. It's a different prospecting process. You're going to have to pick up the phone and call more, of course, but that kind of comes with the territory. So, so if it comes to telesales, I think you don't have to worry as much as you think you do. Yeah, and the other thing too is I've had personally in my agency, I don't know about other agencies out there, I've had the best month in my agency business since I ever got into the business in 2011, over the past 30 days. I really think there's been a huge uptick in interest in buying burial insurance. I've got more agents writing more business now than I've ever seen. I have a handful of agents that I can think of that wrote $5,000 to $6,000 in premium last week. Two agents in particular hit $9,000 in premium. And one of those agents that hit $9,000 in premium wrote 14 policies, all in Las Vegas. Again, probably from an economic standpoint, hit hard. And I think that speaks really largely to another thing I'll mention on this video. And it's the idea that this is a fantastic opportunity. If you're thinking about getting into insurance, you really need to consider the senior market, okay? The senior market is, I wouldn't say recession-proof, but it's recession-resistant. Despite what's going on in the economy right now, people still are going to continue to get their checks from Uncle Sam. If that changes, there's going to be such huge political ramifications. It's going to be the end of our country as we know it, as I feel like what happened. And there's going to be bigger problems beyond just making a buck. So I don't see this changing, because it's the third rail to change something like the guaranteed income payments a senior receives. So the fact that you're working on a market that is guaranteed to get an income is tremendous. It's unlike working a market where you've got to go find somebody who's making a wage and hope that they continue to make a wage, whereas something like this existential crisis happens and they lose their jobs out of no fault of their own. There is a risk to you as the insurance agent working with people in those situations. So that's why I really like the senior market. I think everything senior market I'm incredibly bullish on. And right now, on top of that, we don't have enough agents to service the amount of people coming into this business. We don't have enough saturation. There's still huge room to grow, not just in final expense, but Medicare. Again, throughout this entire crisis, I don't know how long it's lasted, maybe about 20 days. There's been 200,000 people, probably more, that have turned 65 since the whole coronavirus really picked up in concern. 200,000 people started on Medicare. That in 20 days. There's 10,000, 11,000 a day turning 65, starting Medicare for the next 20 years, okay? All those people, the vast majority, got a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare supplement, okay? Their needs didn't change with what's going on, okay? They know they need some kind of protection, even more so now with the huge risk. They want to make sure their health insurance is quality, that it's good. And again, I'm mentioning all this because I want to encourage you all, if you're getting scared that you're out there in the market right now and you're selling burial or any kind of policies to seniors, please don't be. Please be encouraged. Please, if anything, be thankful. This business opportunity, too few people know about it, okay? Too few people know that there is a business model to get involved with that doesn't have the ups and downs like other businesses did. I started in the Great Recession in 2011, and final expense grew double digits with a lot of big companies over the past 8-9 years. And I don't see that stopping, because regardless of what happens in the economy, fundamentally, we cannot deny or change the fact that 10,000 to 11,000 people are turning 65 a day, which brings a host of issues like retirement planning, Medicare, health insurance planning, and final expense planning to the forefront that must be taken care of on some level. So as you can tell, I'm pretty enthusiastic. I hope I'm sharing my enthusiasm with you. I don't want you to get too down, and there's nothing left for us to do but to hope and pray. Not that that's a bad thing, probably should. A couple other things I want to show you here. Just some stuff that I've come across I think is worth looking at. If you're thinking about joining or starting an agency, ladies and gentlemen, the unemployment insurance claims jumped, it looks to be about 20%. March 7th, 2020 was 211,000. March 14th, 2020, that's 281,000. So what is that, a 70,000 increase? Obviously outside the average is demonstrated here. And my point here is that people are going to go out there and start to look for jobs because people are getting laid off en masse. Okay, people are getting laid off at restaurants. People are getting laid off at factories. There is a shift in the consumer sentiment towards what can be spent, what should be spent on, and what shouldn't be. And anything that's discretionary right now, any kind of industry where money is spent on things that doesn't have to necessarily be spent on, is going to get clobbered. Okay, and there's going to be fallout in those direct companies as well as their supply chains that service those companies. There's going to be job losses. There's a lot more to come. And the key here I'm saying is if you're interested in building an agency, there's an opportunity to show people this fantastic business of insurance sales, specifically in the senior market, and how you can help them eliminate this risk, or almost eliminate this risk of recession being an issue where it takes your job, income away, and causes uncertainty. So if you're thinking about building an agency, this really is the best time in a long time to really think hard and proceed forward with it. A couple other headlines here. The worst global recession since World War II. Deutsche Bank just unveiled a bleak new forecast as coronavirus rocks economies worldwide. U.S. recession chances now at 80% despite Fed emergency moves, says a Reuters poll. And Bank of America is going so far as to say a recession has already hit. So this is the kind of news that people are seeing. This is the kind of thing that people are keeping themselves up at night. And again, if you're out there, even if you don't recruit, you need to let people know about what you do and how you help people, and how there's this whole different world that's there of opportunity for the people who go out and apply them. With the important point of letting them know that despite what's going on in this economy, that I believe personally, and hopefully you kind of see where I'm coming from, that because of the fundamental nature of the demographic shift and the fact that our clients get a guaranteed check, that the likelihood of our market staying the same, if not improving, will continue to go up. And then couple that in with the fact that the average insurance agent is 60 years old. He's not going to be around in 20 years. There's going to have to be a higher rate into the insurance business because the recruitment is not keeping pace with the people who are retiring. There we have it. A lot of topics here in this video, lots of things to cover. Hopefully you got some motivation, some inspiration to keep on trucking, keep going. These people need you. Perhaps even people in your immediate warm market, if you will, or contacts are going to need jobs. And if you're interested in agency building, or you want to help them out, let them know about this business. It's fantastic. And last thing I'll say here, the only reason I'm in this business is because I failed out of my original business. I failed out of my original career during the Great Recession. And I cannot be any more thankful for it. I never would have gotten to this point in my life, I think, at this point in my life, had I gone on with the status quo, what I originally thought was going to be my career. And so that's the power, I think, of what you can do right now, is that this is a great opportunity for yourself, if anything, to keep working. Also, great opportunity to bring people on who otherwise would never look at this boring old business called insurance. If you all have any questions, concerns, comments, criticism, leave them below. If you'd like to check out how my insurance agency works, where I train insurance agents nationally in final expense, Medicare, mortgage protection, annuities, go to davidduford.com, click Join Dave's Agency, the green little button at the top. Ladies and gentlemen, stay frosty. Take care.